Hello everyone, my name is Michael from Embody the State, and I will be talking in this video about whether you have to hold a feeling or a state consciously all day. And just a little quick answer, and the answer is no, just to give you some relief. So we're going to dive more into that, and we're going to explain to you why. And you're going to realize that manifestation is much easier than you've expected or that you've heard, okay? And one thing I ask is that if this video inspires you in any way, if you learn something new, just hit that like button and subscribe if you haven't already. That's the only thing I ask of you guys. And before I dive into it, just to get out of the way, embodythestate.com. If you need any guidance of any form, whether it's email, voice messages, or a 1 hour call. 1 hour calls, if you need the fastest results, in other words, you need my attention ASAP. 1 hour calls or 30-minute calls, whatever it is, calls are the way to go to get my attention ASAP. Other than that, voice messages, emails, all that just goes in order from who came first to who ordered recently, right? So it's just that way no one gets skipped. That being said, do you need coaching in order to manifest anything? And the answer is no. And I always tell you guys, you do not need to buy anything. It's only a luxury if you want to save time and you can afford it. If you can't afford it and you have to sacrifice something in order to get coaching, I do not want your money. And that being said, thank you for listening and let's get into it. So, do you have to hold a feeling of the wish fulfilled all day? Do you have to hold a state all day? And the answer is no, right? I understand that a lot of people will be coming from, the law of attraction, right? And the thing a lot of people make a mistake about regarding the law of attraction is they don't realize, right? Everyone reads The Secret, right? The Secret is the thing that kind of gave a big amount of eyes towards the manifestation community, right? The problem with The Secret is that it didn't talk to you about the prerequisite law, which is the law of vibration, right? Law of attraction only works if law of vibration is active. In other words, you're applying the law of vibration, right? That's why you always hear you got to be in a good vibration, right? You have to be on the vibration of the thing you want. When you think about it, right, it's all the same thing. Think about it. Imagine I tell you, get into the vibration of being wealthy. What am I telling you? I'm telling you, get into the state of being wealthy, right? And the difference between law of attraction, which uses vibration, and law of just assumption, which honestly it's the same thing, right? It uses attraction in its own way. It's just one is consciously holding, which is the vibration part, right? You'll notice a lot of law of attraction and vibration will teach you about, holding that vibration and being in the vibration and so on, right? And then law of assumption is the opposite. It's more about, a gentle returning, right? So when you know that it's just a gentle assumption that you're returning to, then you realize there's not that much work to do. And therefore I tell people you don't have to, in a sense, hold a feeling or a vibration or a state all day, right? Just to manifest. Does it work? Yes, right? I've manifested some massive things using, the principles of the law of vibration, right? In other words, it's just imagine using the law of assumption, just doing your best to hold a feeling. That's the best way to explain it for myself, right? I just walked around and spent like 8 hours just consciously. And it didn't really feel too hard, but it definitely was way harder than what I do now. But I felt, the thing I wanted, right? I felt like, quote unquote, on the vibration of it. So it's doable. It works. And I know it works because I've had many successes with it. And this was a long time ago when I first got into manifestation, right? That being said, in the law of assumption community, people don't realize that law of assumption it's the same thing, right? It's just a different way of going about it. And I'll probably make a video on its own explaining law of attraction versus law of assumption. It's all the same thing. It's just, like I said, it's a different vehicle to the same destination. So one is living by holding and one is living by just gentle returning. And you pick which way you want to go, right? So you don't have to hold anything, right? As you know, in chapter 22 of The Power of Awareness, if I'm not mistaken, if I'm wrong, feel free to someone correct me in the comments, but I'm pretty certain it's chapter 22. Neville discusses it's not about the length that you hold a state that makes it, important, right? He explains that it's the returning, the frequency to which, right? And when I say the word frequency, I don't want you guys thinking of law of vibration, right? When I say frequency, it doesn't mean frequency in the sense of like a vibration or this or that. It means how often, right? So it's the frequency to which you return. How frequently are you returning to that state of the wish fulfilled, right, throughout your day? And that is what Neville talks about. So when you realize that he's telling you that what is more important is not holding and forcing a state of consciousness, but instead what's more important is how often, how frequently you are returning to the state of the wish fulfilled. In other words, going from point A to point B, right? And every time you recognize point A, which is your desire, you go straight to point B. In other words, fulfillment. And that's what it's all about, right? When you realize that he tells you this in many different forms, you realize it's not about holding, guys. It's not about trying to manipulate your 3D and change the mirror that's in front of you, right? Like, that's what Neville talks about. He explains that, trying to change the 3D is as useless as, breaking the mirror because you don't like the reflection, the thing that's in it, right? And it's the same thing. It's, why would you smash the mirror and then expect the reality to be different when you replace the mirror? It makes no sense, guys, right? Instead, what you want to be doing is changing what's in the mirror, right? You want to change yourself. So when you realize it's about changing yourself in order to change the outside, then things, make a little bit more sense, right? So the mistake people make is that they're like, okay, now I know I have to change myself in order to change the outside. Okay, cool. So that means I got to feel loved all day. And now all day they're going to try their hardest to feel loved. And yeah, they might be able to do it the first day because it's exciting. And they're like, yeah, I'm going to get my desire. And, why wouldn't I do this? This is going to get me everything. Day 2 comes, they're still doing okay. But then day 3 and 4, they start getting mentally fatigued. They start getting tired. They start looking for movement, right? The doubts start creeping in, or, the devil starts creeping in, right? And that's where a lot of people screw up, right? Because then they think, I'm supposed to hold this state. And because I'm not holding it now that I'm feeling mentally tired and I'm seeing no results and all this stuff, and they're not feeling the same goodness anymore, right? Now they're thinking that there's a problem. And because there's a problem, then they end up, seeking validation. They end up seeking help. They end up seeking, answers. And that's okay, guys. Like, I was on the same path, honestly. So think about it. Like, everyone goes through it. There's no such thing as a person that can teach the law efficiently that hasn't made more mistakes than they've tried, most likely, right? So, like, for me personally, I've made more mistakes than you can even imagine, right? And that's what makes myself, at least, in anything I've ever taught, that could be not just law related, but it's what makes me, in my opinion, a great teacher, right? So that's the thing that you kind of got to focus on. You got to realize that it's your inner world that you have to change. It's not your outer, right? And you got to realize that through making mistakes, you're going to get to that point where you can now start doing things, kind of right off the top of your head. And that's the beautiful part about the law. It seems difficult to some people. For me personally, when I discovered the law, it was like, I don't know how to explain it. It was like, it was so easy. It was so simple. I threw out my logical mind and I understood what I'm listening to and what I'm studying and reading is something that goes against the grain big time. So I already knew that my job, like, if I wanted to really accept this, I have to throw everything, all my logic out the window. And I just looked at it for what it was. And it was telling me to consistently return to feeling like I had received something and to kind of celebrate it, even though I don't have it. And when I do this over and over again, then it will show up in my 3D. And that's how I took it. I was like, okay, so all I got to do is every time I think about it is feel grateful like I received it. Okay, that's all I did. And as you guys already know my story, right? In the first week, manifested 2 of my biggest goals. And it was just because I just was so ignorant and so stubborn, right? I didn't let anything get into my head that was negative. It's the second I was aware of something negative, I didn't care. I was like, I'm not going to react to it because this guy said, and these books said, that I'm supposed to react like the person who has it. I'm supposed to choose to not give power to anything other than anything that implies fulfillment. And that's why I'm making this video too. It's because a lot of people, instead of doing what I did, is they'll keep reading and listening. And now, because there's, technology and TikTok and YouTube and all this stuff, right? There's so many sources of information. And some people will walk away from the understanding that is you have to hold something, right? And that's where they go wrong. That's where everyone makes a mistake. And that's where people get fatigued. And, a lot of people just end up giving up. And I'm telling you guys, it's a simple knowing, right? The feeling is just a benefit. I call it like a passive side. It's like a side effect, right? It's just something that happens on the side of the acceptance. The main thing that you're aiming for is the acceptance, right? So when your desire pops in your head, are you accepting that it is done, that it is yours, right? You're not trying to force a feeling. You're not trying to force a grand emotion and try to mimic it every single time. If you can, great, right? That's what I personally do. Because for me, it's so easy to feel things while accepting them at the same time. And because I can feel things easily and I can do it over and over, my subconscious is like, what the hell's going on? Like, this guy's life just changed like that, right? But truth be told, it didn't change physically, but my subconscious thinks it did, because now I'm reacting emotionally, in other words, with feeling, with the acceptance of the wish fulfilled. But you don't need that feeling, guys, right? It's just a big bonus, and it helps speed things up, and it puts the whole package together, right? That's why I like to teach to, try to combine the two, but you don't have to. The thing you should be going for is the knowing, right? You have a cell phone, correct? And you already know you have a cell phone. When you think of your cell phone, your mind just goes straight to what you can do with it and so on and so on. In other words, you're living from the end in your mind because you know you have it. It's the same concept, guys. Aim for the similar knowing, the acceptance that it's already yours, not in your 3D, but inside. You have to start understanding your inner world is the only true reality. And I say this time and time again, it's the only true reality. And when you understand that what you see on the inside is the actual, like, factual, real thing, and what you see on the outside is not, then you realize it makes more sense to react to what's on the inside than the outside, because you know that what's on the outside is going to change based on what you're doing inside, right? And I'm sorry if that kind of confused you a bit, but it's pretty much, I'm just explaining that, if you know the outside is going to change based on what you do inside, then why would you not look within, right? And it's like I said earlier, it's not about holding that feeling now, right? When you kind of evoked that feeling of that gratitude, or having received it already, it's not about holding that, guys. It's not about forcing something. Unless it's gentle and natural for you, then go for it, right? For me personally, I like to just bring out feelings all the time, right? But it's just about returning to it, right? Can you return to it when you bring it up in your mind? And that's what you're supposed to be doing. You're not supposed to be thinking it's some massive, crazy effort thing where you have to, feel the wish fulfilled 24/7, or else it's not going to come, or 8 hours a day minimum, or 12, whatever it may be, right? It's as simple as, when you think about it, jump to the knowing that it's already done and yours. Not out here, it's done in yours in here. And because you know that this is the thing, everything in here is what gets pushed out here into your 3D reality, then you realize it's not a lie, because this is the only true reality in here, guys. And when you realize that, you will stop fussing about all the little things. You will stop looking at your 3D and being like, oh my God, it's not working. Why isn't this happening for me? This is impossible. Manifesting just doesn't work. Or maybe it works for others, but for me, it's harder. That's all logical BS, guys. I'm telling you. It's as simple as be disciplined. Practice with your mind, guys. Desire pops up, go straight to fulfillment. In other words, accept that it is done, right? Instead of looking at that desire from the perspective of, oh, that would be so nice if it happened, or, oh, I can't wait for that to manifest. Don't get stuck in the middle, guys. Go straight to the end. It already happened. It's already yours, guys. And because you understand that you're not trying to trick yourself into believing you have it in your 3D, but you understand you're saying it's yours because you experience it within, and because you're continuing to experience within, therefore it's already yours within. And because it's yours within, remember, you manifest who you are, not what you want. So because you are being the one who identifies with having it inside, your subconscious mind doesn't know that you don't have it outside. So it's going to have to give it to you anyways. And that's what you're doing. That's all you're doing, is you are returning to the state of the wish fulfilled. In other words, the identity where you have now accepted the fact that you already are this person, right? So if you are, just to kind of give an example, right? So when I was manifesting, business success and things like this earlier on, I was broke. I didn't have any money, let alone like even thinking of having like 10,000 or 20,000 saved in my bank was like, it was so far-fetched. To me, I thought I'd have to be like in my 50s to have that, right? My self-concept regarding money was so bad back then. And, I was broke, right? And I was taking the bus to work and all this crap. And it was just horrible. It was, I didn't like it, but I just felt stuck. So I accepted it instead of being depressed about it, right? So, it's just how I coped. And, I didn't realize how bad my self-concept was on money until I started applying the law, until I started living through the consciousness and through the eyes of the law of assumption, right? A lot of mistake people make is that they know the law, but they continue living life as a human. They continue living life as a victim. They continue living life from the perspective of, I can't change anything and I'm a victim and woe is me. And that's not how you should be living, right? Like when I started actually applying the law, I realized how many negative thoughts I had about money, right? When I got to the subway station and I wanted a beef patty before work, right then and there, it was like, that's money that has to leave my pocket. And now it's like, oh no, now I don't have money. And if I do this every day, then how much is that going to add up to on the month and so on, right? So self-concept was horrible. But when it got to the point that I fully trusted my inner world and I said enough is enough, and I was manifesting wealth, or I should say just money in general at that point, I just understood, even though I was broke physically, I was pretty much well off, like wealthy inside, right? So I would remember every time I'm walking, I still remember, like I still have like the first person vision of like this moment, because I remember it vividly. It's just, I remember I was walking in the subway station and it just hit me like my desire. In other words, I wanted more money. I wanted to feel successful and more freedom, right? And I just accepted for a moment in time that just for like 2 seconds, that everything was already solved. That all my problems that I woke up with and came to in the morning when I gained my consciousness, all those, I started looking at them like things of the past. I started understanding, I at that moment, I just accepted that it's my inner world that's going to get pushed out, right? So every time I thought of my desire, in other words, money, and I was walking in the subway or wherever I was walking, and even though I was physically broke, right, I was able to just accept that I had the success. I didn't know what it looked like. I didn't know what I would be doing. I didn't know where the money would come from, and I didn't care because I just knew that I trusted my inner self. I knew that I trusted whatever power I had within me, right? Whatever the source gave me, right? Whatever I'm connected to. So when I did this, it put this like relief off my back because I knew I didn't have to hold it, but I just knew that every time I thought about it, I had to jump to the new story, the new identity. In other words, the new fact of life. And when I did this, not only did I notice that I felt good for like 5 seconds, 10 seconds, a minute, 2 minutes, whatever, and then I went back to normal, I realized that as long as I'm in the normal, and this is the part where you're not holding, by the way, and this is the part where you're just living life, you're aware that you're not holding a state in that moment. You can jump into that consciousness where you recognize this, but you got to realize in those, and I call it like the neutral mode, or at least the natural dwelling state, that's when you choose, okay, as long as I'm in here, as long as I don't react to the negative, in other words, identify with the negative is the word I should use. As long as I don't continually identify with the negative, in other words, react with feeling and my negative thoughts at the same time, then I'm good, right? So when I was doing that for money, right? So I would be broke, notice the beef patty, and then I would either buy it or not, depending on how much money I had that for like that week or whatever. And if I didn't buy it, I would instead view my life as if I bought it, right? And how grateful would I feel that I could afford all the money to buy that beef patty, right? And how amazing does it feel to know that I'm a success finally, right? And that the world views me differently. I was walking in dirty construction clothes, but for that moment in time, I was accepting that I was wearing like a $5,000 jacket. It was kind of like the suit I was wearing that I wasn't even physically wearing, but I was aware of it, if that makes sense. And that was me stepping into the identity, right? That was me stepping into the state of the wish fulfilled, because if I was successful at that time, that's how I would have dressed, right? I would have looked successful. People would have treated me differently because of my look compared to the dirty construction clothes I was wearing. So I started seeing the world react to me and behave this way towards me. And that is me identifying. That was me choosing to accept a new fact for at least 5 seconds in my head, right? It was all in my head. And then I just snapped to it, boom, and I continue walking. And even though for like maybe 30 seconds I'm feeling good and I'm feeling successful and wealthy, chin is up because I'm proud. And, as a man in society, when you can afford whatever it is you want and you can take care of people around you and you know that money's not an issue, you walk proud, right? It's just the way we are. And same thing with women. I'm certain, right? I'm certain that you guys will have a thing that you do when you realize that you're successful and you can take care of yourself and so on, right? So for me personally, it's pride. I feel a lot of pride, right? And, after about like 30 seconds, a minute, that kind of faded. I went back to my regular state. The thing I didn't do was then panic and say, oh no, I fell out of the state. I fell out of the vibration. I have to hold it now. I have to go back into it. No, I was still aware of my desire, but I was just now walking like neutral with it, right? I wasn't like holding the fulfillment, but I just understood I just fulfilled myself. And as long as I don't go into the negative, then that fulfillment is good. Like it's thumbs up. Like it's getting me closer, right? And I just understood every single time I did something right, I was getting closer and closer. And long story short, everything happened. Like everything worked out for me in a matter of days, right? Things started changing, mountains started moving, you name it, right? So it's all different. It depends on who you are and your experiences, your beliefs, your life story, everything. You don't know how it's going to play out, right? And that's the thing that kind of scares a lot of people. But trust me, there is something inside of you that is so freaking powerful. There is something inside of you that is smarter than you will ever be, right? There is something inside of you that has so much power, right, that you are a part of, that you can control. And you mean to tell me that you're going to sit here and you're going to look at your 3D and you're going to feel like a victim majority of the day? Don't do that, guys. Don't do that to yourself, okay? You got to understand, when you trust that thing inside you, the source, the energy, God, the creator, whatever you want to call it, when you trust that thing has your back and that it's their job to figure out how you are going to get whatever it is that you want, and your only job is to stay consistent and to stay true to the new identity of having it already, then you realize manifesting is freaking easy. It's not about holding something all day. It is about returning to the identity. And it's when you return to the identity, that is when you dominantly change your neutral or dominant dwelling state, I should say, right? Because everyone has like a default dwelling state. And, we always return to it. No matter what you do, there will always be a default setting, a natural dwelling state that you will return to, okay? So when you realize this, and you realize that all you're doing now is you're changing that default setting to the one that implies you have it already, it's game over, right? And you do that through returning, not through holding by force and this and that. Can you do it by holding and force? Yes, you can, right? I've done this in my past when I was younger, right? That being said, I don't do it anymore because I find just returning to a new assumption is much easier. And when I return to it over and over and over throughout the day, it becomes easier the next day, and then the next day, and then the day after that. For me, it becomes automatic within a couple days, truth be told, for most things. Not everything, but for most. It all depends on my discipline and my desire to actually return to it frequently throughout the day, right? So sometimes I'm only in the mood for like once or twice, and that's okay, right? And sometimes I'm in the mood to do it like 1,000 times in a day. Where like I'm thinking about it, boom. 20 minutes later, boom. 5 minutes later, boom. An hour later, boom. Like it's just nonstop, right? And some goals I'm like that with. And for me personally, it's the goals that I'm like that with. Everything changes quicker, right? And I don't want you thinking that you have to do this crazy amount of work like that in order to get faster results. Trust me, the difference might only be a couple days. It might even be a week. Like I told you guys with my credit card, right? I had a little success story I shared with you guys like a month ago. And it was just... it was, I wanted something, a limit raised on one of my credit cards. It made no sense that they gave me such a stupid limit. Like, I thought they made a mistake. So instead of calling, complaining, and wasting an hour of my time, and for me, an hour of my time is a lot. So I didn't want to waste an hour of my time. Instead, I was like, you know what? I'm just going to give myself the relief of it being resolved. So instead, right then and there, I fulfilled myself. I just accepted that I received the credit limit I wanted, right, on my credit card. So I did that maybe once, and then the next day I did it one more time, right? So I wasn't holding it, I wasn't forcing it, I wasn't like, oh no, I got to set a timer on my phone, and if I don't fulfill myself every hour, I'm screwed. None of that crap. I just thought about it once, then and there on my computer, forgot about it the rest of the night. Woke up, didn't think about it all day. Middle of the day, it popped in my head, fulfilled myself, forgot about it again because I got so busy with clients that I completely, for like a week and a half, I was just extremely busy, and it came a week and a half, right? And it just arrived out of nowhere. Why did it come? Well, first of all, it came because I wasn't trying to force it, right? It came because I fulfilled myself twice, and I didn't allow myself to contradict myself a lot more, right? In other words, I just accepted it was done. I felt the truth of it. And for me, that was gratitude. That was relief, right? And I accepted it mentally, right? And then I forgot about it. And it's not like I forgot intentionally, right? It's just I was so busy. And because I was so busy, I didn't have time to contradict more than those 2 times I fulfilled myself. And it's that simple. So that's proof alone that you don't have to hold a feeling, right? But I'm pretty sure if I was returning to that gratitude, that relief of like, oh my God, thank God they gave me like a crazy limit now. Thank you, right? If I kept returning to that, I'm certain it would have came maybe, 4, 5, 6 days earlier. You never know, right? That being said, I don't care. I really don't care how long it takes, truth be told. Once I begin and I decide that I'm going to manifest something consciously, I don't give a crap about the time. I really don't care, right? Yes, maybe once in a while my human mind will be like, okay, it's been X amount of days or whatever, right? But that's okay. I know that's just my human mind. I understand that that's not the right thing to be doing. So I don't look at that like, oh no, I screwed up. I'm not in the state, right? I don't look at it like that. I just understand, okay, what my brain just did, that's a human regular function. Okay, I'm aware of the time, no problem. But am I reacting to it? No. Am I feeling guilty about it or bad or depressed? And the answer is no. And the same thing for you guys, okay? So just understand it's not about holding a feeling. It's not about holding a state of consciousness or anything like that all day, right? Neville talks about this, as I mentioned, right? But it's about returning to the identity of already having it. It's about understanding the inside is real and the outside is fake. And by only reacting to the inside and understanding what you experience in your imagination in here is the actual real reality, then you realize there's no point in looking at your 3D and feeling bad or that this is too hard and I can't do this and da-da-da. The more you do that, the longer it's going to take. Just buckle up. Enough's enough, right? Like, go live your dream life. Your version of you in that reality is like looking at you and it's like, yo, come on, hurry up. We're waiting for you. Like, what's the holdup? Do you like living this crappy reality that you're in? And the answer is no, right? That's why you're all here watching this video. That's why you're all here watching different coaches and different people talk about the law. You're reading books, whatever it may be. It's because you are not happy with your life. There is something inside you calling you to do something greater, right? For yourself, for your life. So listen to that greater thing inside you. Listen to that higher self, okay? Every time you feel bad about, oh, maybe this won't happen, think of it like it's a nudge from your higher self telling you you're not supposed to be feeling this way. You only feel this way because you're supposed to be experiencing something better, your actual desire. So wake up, guys, okay? It's not about holding, it's about returning, okay, guys? So I hope you guys enjoyed this video. This video is 25 or 26 minutes right now. It's about to be 26. And, it was a little longer than my normal videos, but that's okay. It's only 5 minutes, 6 minutes longer, but I hope you guys enjoyed this one. I kind of, went all over the place a little bit, but you know me, that's what makes me a good teacher. I talk, and then I get into the detail of what I'm talking about. And then I bounce back up to where I was talking, and then I give more examples. It's how I teach. And I think it helps a lot of people. So I know you guys enjoyed it. And, I truly enjoy my little rants, right? For me, I could talk all day. You guys know that. So, I structured it for you guys enough where you guys will understand. It's not about, holding anything. I gave you some examples, right? I gave you an idea of what my brain looks like, right? So that being said, you guys have what you need. It's not about holding now, and you know that. So go live your life and enjoy it. Every time you think of your desire, return to it, okay? Just accept it's yours. It's a gentle acceptance. Just like I have a cell phone, I have my SP. Just like I have my cell phone or my fridge, or I have a dog, right? I have this knowing, right? Then I have my money I want. I have the marriage I want, right? Everything is resolved, and start feeling the fact of that, right? And the feeling is just a benefit when you accept something fully, right? And if you don't have any feelings when you accept a fact, it's okay, right? It's truly okay. It doesn't mean that it didn't register. If you worry about that, then yes, that will be the case. But trust me, it's the acceptance of it consciously. The feeling is just a bonus, right? For me personally, I'm lazy, so I use feeling more than I do like my actual thoughts, if that makes sense. But it's something I do because for me, it implies that I already fulfilled myself, and that's good enough for me. And because I don't question it, and it feels natural for me, and it's fun for me, and it's easy, I keep doing it, and I keep getting results, right? But that being said, earlier in my journey, yeah, every time I did see my imaginal act, and to this day, I still do use imaginal acts, but I just don't use them as often. Like, if I'm manifesting an SP as an example, I will literally, I might just get a picture of her, right, in my head. We're not doing anything together. It might just be her. Maybe it's her in a park. Maybe it's her in a mall, whatever it may be. But to me, I'm looking at that picture in my mind as if that's my girlfriend, that's mine. And I'm accepting that fact, right? And because I accept that fact, most of the time, it comes with a side effect of feeling loved, of feeling grateful, of relief, of joy, butterflies, right? And if I don't get those, I don't look at it like, oh my God, it didn't work. I wasted my time. My brain didn't register it. No, it's okay. It doesn't matter, guys. As long as you can accept it logically, like with your mind, and say, you know what, this is who I am. That's okay. It's the feeling is just a bonus that speeds everything up, in my opinion, okay? So that being said, I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and thank you for listening to me talk. I appreciate it. And I have a lot of content that's ready to come out for you guys, so expect stuff very soon. And, I'm going to be, like I said in my last video, more YouTube content, more TikTok stuff. So I've been preparing it all weekend long. So we're going to you're going to start seeing some cool stuff coming out, okay? And I can't wait to start streaming here and to have our own little, group going and stuff like that. So that being said, thank you everyone for all the support. And for those of you that have been with me since day one, and even the new ones that have stuck with me, I love you all very much. And even if you're just watching this to watch this and you're not a fan of me, I hope you learned something new. And thank you for watching, guys. I truly appreciate it. Don't forget to like and subscribe if you haven't already. The more likes this video gets, the more eyes it will see. In other words, the more people just like you who were struggling that needed a little pick-me-up, more people can benefit from that as well, okay? So thank you very much. Embody the State. If anyone needs guidance, embodythestate.com. It's all there for you. Do you need to spend money to manifest anything? No. If anyone tells you need to spend money on anything to manifest, run away, guys, okay? Everything is free. The books you can find online for free, most likely. There's so many things you can do, right? There's so many archives you can go to. So there's no excuse to not study, right? So get studying. And if you're just busy and you can afford a luxury and you don't have time to read books and over and over and over and over again, of course, that's what it's there for. But other than that, get studying, guys, okay? So that being said, I love you all very much. And thank you for listening to this. And I will see you guys very, very soon with another video. And feel free to actually comment down below what topics you want me to cover. And I'm going to be looking at them and I jot them down. Even if I don't say I'm going to make a video on them, I still jot them down, right? So that being said, I appreciate all you guys' feedback, and thank you for all the love and support. We keep growing. We keep getting bigger and better. So thank you, everyone, for being part of the community. I love you all very much, and I will see you guys very, very soon.